So, soil and water conservation districts are the state program that work with conservation. The Natural Resources Conservation Service, or NRCS, is the federal partner. And I know we got a couple folks here from NRCS. Marion Jordan is going to come up and be the presenter today. She is the Assistant State Conservationist for Programs for Virginia NRCS. So, Marion, if you want to come on, and we'll hear about the great work that NRCS is doing. Let's give Marion a big hand. Thank you.
I was about to say good morning. Good afternoon, everyone. Again, my name is Marion Jordan. I am new to Virginia. I've seen a couple of faces here thus far, so it's good to see friendly faces in the audience. I'm the Assistant State Con for Programs for NRCS. So we're going to chat a little bit today about NRCS, who we are, and what we provide as a service to our customers here in the state and across the nation. So who are we and what do we do? I will read this, so bear with me. Our mission, we deliver conservation solutions so agriculture producers can protect natural resources and feed a growing world. Our vision is for a world of clean and abundant water, healthy soils, resilient landscapes, and thriving agricultural communities through voluntary conservation. Sounds like a lot, doesn't it? We can all do it. We can do it if we all work together. So one of the things that I want to highlight as an agency, some of our priorities, ensuring equity in the delivery and implementation of our program. So we want to make sure that we're getting our information out and reaching as many individuals as we possibly can. Increase assistance for climate-smart agriculture and forestry to support producers in building resiliency across their operations. Expand conservation tools and support to address the unique needs of urban farmers and communities nationwide. Cultivate a complete and diverse workforce that has the right tools, technologies, and training to uphold the scientific integrity of NRCS. And to leverage innovative partnerships to expand NRCS's ability to get conservation on the ground effectively and efficiently. So how are we going to do all this stuff I just talked about? Within NRCS, we have here a map of all of the service centers we have across the state. We have 4 areas and also our state offices. So within these local service centers in the state office, we have, does this have a blinker? It doesn't? Okay. Okay. Well, we don't worry about that. But you'll see here on the right side, these are the disciplines of all the individuals within the state, just to name a few, who assist us in making sure that we connect with our customers and we get conservation on the ground. So what to expect? After you contact one of your local service centers, again, they were shown in the map that we just took a look at. A planner will contact you to set up an appointment to discuss your concerns and your goals that you have for your operation. The planner will come to your property, walk and talk with you about what you're doing on your property and what are some things that you might want to do in the future. And so how do we do that? I won't go through all of this, but when we're coming to your property, we sort of implement what's called a 9-step planning process. And it goes from chatting with you, identifying the problem, what your concerns are, all the way to developing a conservation plan and implementing that plan and evaluating that plan to ensure that it's working effectively to meet your goals and to ensure that we are addressing whatever those resource concerns are on your property. What are resource concerns? So let's say we come to your property and we'll walk about. We might even bring resources like maps and things of that nature. You might provide us with a map of your property, pointing out or highlighting key areas that you want us to take a look at, and you want to chat about or to show us where your boundaries are, that's something important too, to make sure that, we're planning conservation practices on your property. And so we'll walk the land and we'll look for those resource concerns that we identify, but also those things that you have pointed out. And so a resource concern is a threat to or degradation of your soil. Again, I won't read all of that, but you see here of those resources, but they also include the human aspect and energy as well. So after we've done a visit and we've come to do inventory on your property, whatever land use that you might have, forest land, cropland, or grazing land, we work with you to determine exactly, what conservation practices you might be interested in that you want to choose and implement on your property to help you meet your conservation goals. And so when we're discussing those conservation practices with you and trying to determine what your goals are and what you might be interested in, the planner might mention to you a number of the conservation practices and initiatives that we have for the state. Again, these are just a few, they aren't all of them, but you see that I have highlighted here a couple that we will discuss briefly today. Conservation technical assistance, the first one is there. That's sort of the initial process that we go through with NRCS. We're chatting with you, so we'll come out there, talk to you about what you want to do on your property, give you some ideas of alternatives you might want to do, and you might be okay with that. It's like, thank you for this technical assistance, thank you for the resources, I now know how to move forward, we'll contact you later. If after that you decide, hey, I want to do some of these practices, or sign up for some of these conservation practices, and I think I might need a little bit of financial assistance, I want to apply for some of your conservation programs, then the planner may talk to you about EQIP, Environmental Quality Incentives Program, Conservation Stewardship Program, and we'll talk a little bit about ACEP, Urban Ag, and Conservation Innovation Grants. So again, after the planner has talked about the different conservation programs that we have, then it's up to you to decide, again, based on your conversation with the planner and discussing what your objectives are, which conservation program will be the best for you. I will share that we do accept applications year-round, so don't worry about getting, it's like, oh, I need to get my application in. We accept them. If you see one of us on the street and you say, hey, I want to submit an application, that's a good way to get started. Just know that with some of our conservation programs, we do have program application deadlines, so check with your local service center to determine what those are, or also look at our website to determine what those application cutoff dates are. I will also add that as you're submitting your application, just make sure that you have developed or updated your FSA records. And we have individuals back here from FSA at the back, so just make sure that you have your records up to date. Because part of identifying resource concerns and having the land eligibility is also the producer or customer eligibility documents that need to be filed as well. I know this is a busy slide, so we won't go through everything, but one of the main or initial conservation programs that individuals might start off with NRCS is EQIP. We say EQIP for short, Environmental Quality Incentive Program. And so EQIP helps farmers maintain or improve production while conserving natural resources on working landscapes. And we have here the benefits, some examples of benefits. It's not all inclusive. Reducing contamination, efficiently utilizing nutrients, increasing soil health, et cetera, et cetera. And so working with customers or partners, sometimes we get the question, how much money do you get for EQIP? How is this split up? So this little diagram here shows you how the money that we get is sort of broken up to ensure that we're reaching as many people as we can. And so for fiscal year 23, this past year, we were allocated over $24 million for EQIP. And so this shows that 50% of that went to livestock, and you see the breakdown here of the rest over on the right, and 25% for mandatory offerings like special initiatives that we have, and things of that nature. So we also have the Conservation Stewardship Program. That's another popular conservation program that we are definitely wanting more customers to participate in. And so CSP offers technical and financial assistance to help agricultural and forest producers take their conservation efforts to the next level. And so producers can expand on existing conservation efforts by applying new conservation practices and enhancements. So basically, like if you start off with EQIP, only thing that comes to mind, an example is say, hey, you come in and say, hey, I want to sign up for cover crop. And you might do a single species for cover crop. CSP, you might come back the next year or 2-3 years later saying, hey, you know, I've applied cover crop that's been adapted. I think I want to do multi-species. And so Conservation Stewardship Program is also an alternative for you to use to take your conservation to the next level. And so that's something you can do with this program. And for CSP this past year, we were allocated over $21 million in that conservation program. We also have ASAP, or Agricultural Conservation Easement Program, and this helps landowners, land trusts, and entities protect, restore, and enhance wetlands or protect working farmlands and ranches through conservation easements. So ALE, it helps private and tribal landowners, land trusts, and other entities such as state and local governments protect croplands and grasslands on working farms and ranches by limiting non-agricultural use of the land through conservation easements. So basically, if you've got prime farmland, you want to keep it in ag land, ALE is an easement that you would sign up for. WRE, or wetland reserve easements, help private and tribal landowners protect, restore, and enhance wetlands which have been previously degraded due to agricultural uses. And so here at the bottom, it just shows how much money we received this past year for these two easement programs. So what I want to share here, excuse me, just recently President Biden, I just lost my train of thought, passed the inflammation. Forgive me, guys. Inflammation. The Inflation Reduction Act. I can read. I'm just having a moment here. Inflation Reduction Act. And what that did, that provided $19.5 billion to NRCS over 5 years to support programs that yield climate change mitigation benefits. And so this is just a breakdown of the additional funds that NRCS will receive over the next 5 years, and this started in fiscal year 2023. So just think back to those maps that I showed you previously about the EQIP. So this is money on top of what was shown in that last slide. And so for this fiscal year, for EQIP IRA, we received over $2.5 million, and for CSP IRA, we received an additional $4.8 million. But we got over $5 million for that. We requested some additional funds. So we were able to address additional resource concerns and obligate more of our contracts by having this additional IRA funds. So we talked about climate smart mitigation. And what we're looking at are these climate smart practices. I know you guys are probably hearing more about this. A quick Google search will pull up more information about this. climate smart ag and forestry and IRA. So NRCS identifies conservation activities critical to climate change mitigation. When applied appropriately, these activities may deliver quantifiable reductions in greenhouse gas emissions and or increases in carbon sequestration. So many offer co-benefits that help operations build climate change resilience while addressing other natural resource concerns such as soil health, water quality, pollinator and wildlife habitat, and air quality. So last year, or this year, fiscal year, this current calendar year, fiscal year 23, we obligated 102 contracts for a total of over $7.5 million in IRA funds for climate smart practices. And so that was a great feeling for us with the state. And as for me, as a program manager for the state, having these additional funds allowed us again to reach more customers and get more conservation on the ground. Fortunately, unfortunately, we tend to get more applications in than we can fund. So having these additional funds allowed us to reach more customers. And so for this fiscal year, we've been allocated over $30 million in EQIP and CSP IRA funds, and the bulk of that are EQIP funds. And so as you can see, we're going from 7.5 million from last year to 30 million this year. So we've got a lot of work ahead of us. But that's a good thing. Again, we're getting more conservation on the ground and we're reaching more individuals. Another program within, or initiative within NRCS programs is Conservation Innovation Grants. We call it SIG. If you guys haven't noticed by now, NRCS, we have a lot of acronyms. And so SIG is a competitive program that supports the development of new tools, approaches, practices, and technologies to further the protection and preservation of our natural resources. So since fiscal year 2010, NRCS Virginia has awarded over 43 projects with an NRCS contribution of $3.1 million, with individual awards ranging anywhere from $75,000 to $300,000. And so this past fiscal year 23, our priority for CIG was soil health and forestry. And so we were able to award one CIG grant for a total of $200,000. So we also have urban agriculture. And so NRCS and FSA have been working together to establish an Office of Urban Ag in Richmond. And I think that is well underway. NRCS has just recently hired an urban conservationist at the state office. Her name is Tatiana Hill. And so we've got individuals in place to assist our urban farmers with some of their questions about their conservation needs. We also have the People's Garden Initiative, which provides a benefit and to be accessible to the community, be collaborative within the community or with USDA, to educate the community about food production, food preparation, or environmental stewardship, and to incorporate sustainable practices. Also within urban ag, we have developed within programs a specific EQIP high tunnel fund pool. So high tunnel, hoop house, producers, customers might call it a few different names, but with NRCS we call it a high tunnel system. So we have a specific fund pool where we have money set aside specifically for funding high tunnels for eligible applicants. We also have an urban ag fund pool that's been developed. Again, that's additional funds that are set aside specifically for urban agriculture. And so within that program or within that funding pool, you might be able to if you're interested. These are some of the practices that you could potentially sign up for. Cover crop mulching, soil carbon amendments, etc. And we also have an urban ag subcommittee, again, to discuss all things urban ag and to ensure that we are doing what we need to do to meet the customers and provide them with the resources necessary. I will put one of my team members on the spot. If you guys have any additional questions about urban ag, we've got Miss Talisha Berry at the back who might be able to answer some questions. I know I didn't mention this to you ahead of time, so my apologies for putting you on the spot there. Just FYI. Yeah, and that's my last slide. So if you guys have any additional questions, here's my contact information. I do apologize, I don't have my business cards yet, but you can definitely send me an email message and then I will respond in kind. Thank you all so much.